Back in 1970, there was no Clean Air Act, no Clean Water Act. It was perfectly legal for a factory to spew black clouds of toxic smoke into the air or dump tons of toxic waste into a nearby stream. So a U.S. Senator named Gaylord Nelson had this brilliant idea of organizing a National Day of Environmental Teach-Ins. That became the very first Earth Day. Over 20 million Americans came together to promote environmental protection and raise awareness about climate change. And it worked. Later that year, Congress authorized the creation of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA. Fast forward to today, Earth Day has become a global phenomenon celebrated in over 190 countries and mobilizing billions of people to take action for a more sustainable future. Today, we are going off the radar to learn how one organization is keeping America beautiful with a nationwide cleanup.
It's people in their communities taking action, even small actions, people caring about each other in the places that they live.
We'll also meet the Conservation Kid, a 14-year-old on a mission to give his generation a cleaner future.
You're never too young or too old to make a difference. If somebody says you can't do it, get out there and prove them wrong.
So pop in the earbuds, grab a trash bag, and take a walk as you listen to this special Earth Day episode as we celebrate this planet we call home. I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie, and you're listening to Off the Radar, a production of the National Weather Desk. On the show, we dig deep into topics about weather, climate, the ocean, space, and much, much more. Our goal is to help you better understand the weather and to love it as much as we do. Sonia Stevens, thank you for being on Off the Radar today. I love recruiting other Sinclair meteorologists to be part of the show because I don't want to do this alone. I want to have a friend with me to do it. And you are a friend because we've known each other for, I don't know what, at least 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Our kids are 10, so at least 10 years.
I know, they're growing up so fast.
All right, so you hail from Charleston, South Carolina, which is where you are today. Yep. We worked together at WCIV there, great station, where you still are today, right?
Yep, still there. Still there. Been here 13, this summer will be 13 years.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so part of why I reached out to you to be on the show today is because today is all about Earth Day. And of course, I had to think of my friend because happy birthday, Sonia Stevens.
Thank you.
Did you, so when you were little, were you destined to become a meteorologist or go into environmental sciences because you had this Earth Day birthday?
You know what's funny? I don't remember Earth Day being a big deal when we were growing up. I don't know. I mean, you and I are like the same age. I just don't remember it being a big deal growing up. I mean, it was always like being, Earth conscious and that sort of thing. But yeah, I just don't remember Earth Day being a big deal until I don't know, I was an adult.
And maybe also it's because it was not like a super old holiday at that point. It's like 50 years ago. So it's not that much older than us, you know?
Don't date us too much, Emily.
I know. Yeah. We're getting close to that mark. But you know what was a big deal when I was growing up was Arbor Day, which is also coming up.
Yes, that's what I remember.
Did you get a little tree?
You would plant a tree. Yeah.
Yes. We would get a little tree to take home.
That was definitely a bigger deal growing up.
Yep. Plant them in the front yard. And it's funny because there were 4 of us kids and we planted all 4 trees in the front yard. And I think one of them is still there because my dad still lives in the same house. And I think my youngest brother, it's the only tree that survived. And it's like a full grown tree now.
That's impressive.
I know.
I do not know where any of those trees that I ever planted are.
Do your kids do stuff at school for Earth Day?
They usually do. They always come home with stuff. It's a fun day.
It is a fun day. And it's a fun day because, I feel like the rest of the year we hear kind of bad news about the Earth. But Earth Day, I feel like is a day of hope, right? It's a day where people all kind of come together and talk about things we can do to improve the Earth. And that's why on the show today, I have a couple of people that are doing that. One of them being Jenny Lawson. She is the president and CEO of Keep America Beautiful, which I don't know if you've heard of it. Big nationwide organization. They do a lot of things. They have all kind of these different mini programs within them. One of them being Retreat, which is very weather related because they go in after a natural disaster, say like a tornado rips through a town and tears out trees. They go in and they have a big program where they replant trees in this community. And it's kind of a twofer because you're, recreating this canopy that maybe was destroyed, but you're also building like community because people are working together. And, it's very healing post-natural disaster. So that's one of the cool programs they have. And something that you and I need to do, that she told me about, called plogging. And it's basically, this is like a very easy way to clean up your community. If you randomly go out and jog with a friend, which you and I have definitely done, you bring a little bag with you. And if you see litter, you pick it up and you're plogging. And they want you to hashtag plogging and tag Keep America Beautiful. But that's like a really easy way to clean up your community. And you're already out kind of running around it anyway. So it's a good way to help clean up. And then I'm also going to talk to the quote unquote conservation kid. And his name is Cash Daniels. He's in Tennessee. And he, since the time he was 7 years old, has been doing massive community programs, not only in Tennessee, but like kind of nationwide to clean up. He's a very big ocean advocate. So I'm going to talk to him about what he's been working on, why he does what he does, which I think is obvious. He's 14 and he wants to have a very safe, healthy planet for years to come. So,
well, that's why we got to take care of the earth because, we want our kids to be able to enjoy it. I was thinking, when you asked me to be on, I was thinking, okay, like what does Earth Day mean to me? One thing that I like that Target does is, and I don't know if you've ever done this, is they allow you to recycle car seats.
Oh, interesting. Are they doing that on Earth Day?
They are doing it around Earth Day. And then if you turn it in, you can get a coupon for another car seat. I don't need another car seat, but I'm happy to recycle it. Yeah.
And I often drive through my neighborhood and see car seats on the side of the road for like bulk pickup day. And so that's a lot of plastic in a landfill. So that's great that they're finding a way to recycle them. Because also they have expiration dates on them. So I think people are also unsure like how long they last. But yeah, that is a lot of plastic right there. So that's good to know. And then, there's a lot of stores. When you mentioned Target, I thought of like H&M. You can always bring a bag full of clothes to recycle to H&M too, and they give you a discount on your next purchase.
Oh, I didn't know that. But, there's a lot of bins around town, and I don't know if other areas do this, where you can recycle clothes. Like there's one at my kid's school, and you can recycle old shoes, old clothes, and then that money goes toward the school. So I try to do that kind of throughout the year. And then something else that Charleston County has started to do is they've really stepped up their composting game.
We have past podcast episodes about composting. And it's funny because since that podcast episode came out, I've been kind of slacking on the composting, but Earth Day is a good reminder. Like I need to just walk. It's a half a block. The city composting is a half a block away. All I need to do is take that bucket down and empty it out so that I can keep refilling it.
So do you keep your stuff in in a Tupperware in the fridge until you're ready to, because otherwise it's going to smell.
It stinks, which is why I have a composting bin and I put it in the freezer. Then it doesn't stink. And then even too, when I'm carrying it down, if a banana peel falls out, it's like a hard frozen banana peel. It doesn't stink and it's not gross.
Good for you. I need to step up my composting game. It's a lot of waste, and that's something easy.
Well, Sonia Stevens, thank you so much for joining me today, and very happy birthday to you, and happy Earth Day, happy Arbor Day, and we wish you the best in Charleston, and good luck this hurricane season too.
Yeah, fingers crossed it stays quiet.
Now here's my chat with Jennifer Lawson, President and CEO of Keep America Beautiful. Jenny Lawson, such an honor to have you on the podcast and to talk about this in a very important month and week. Earth Day is here. And of course, the day everybody wants to keep America beautiful, but you guys are doing it year round. So I want to get a little background on the program itself and the nonprofit and what you do the rest of the year.
Sure. Well, Earth Day is such an important day that comes with a deep history of taking a moment to take action to sustain our communities and our environment, right? And to really focus on what that means in communities around the country. And as you said, at Keep America Beautiful, we do that every day. So we are an organization of now 753 affiliates around the country who do environmental community engagement projects in their communities every day. So they are hosting cleanups and organizing recycling experiences and events, or recycling services in some places. They're planting trees, they're greening communities at an incredible rate every year. And in fact, for us, April also kicks off the Greatest American Cleanup. And that is an annual event for us where all of those communities get together and we get people involved in cleaning up their neighborhoods in the spring. It runs from the first day of spring till the first day of summer. And it's an amazing experience. So last year, more than 1 million people volunteered to clean up in their communities. And we're trying to break that number this year.
So I want to go back to some of these affiliates you mentioned. That's so many, over 700. That's a lot. So what kind of affiliates are we talking about? Is this like other nonprofits, municipalities? Any recognizable names that people might know?
So affiliates are small grassroots community members who get together, who do some learning, who do some sort of assessment of their communities, who get the engagement of their local government, and then they all step out together to become change agents in their community. It takes about a year of training, and then they are present in their communities, leading cleanups, organizing, waterway events, doing tree plantings, or, doing, longer term sustainable engagement activities. So in some communities, we support our affiliates with a MLK granting program. So it's an invitation to develop plans to improve Martin Luther King corridors around the country. And because oftentimes those communities are low-income, underserved communities that are represented by MLK Boulevard borders. And so it's a chance to really, at the grassroots level, get all sorts of people engaged in taking care of communities.
Yeah, I want to dig into that green space topic in just a minute, but let's talk about why this is important. I'm a child of the 80s, and we picked up litter. That's what we did. We were worried about that, and we were worried about the ozone layer. So why in 2024 is litter still an issue, or is it still an issue?
So, the good news is in many places it's getting better, right? So Keep America Beautiful runs the National Litter Study. Every 5 years, we do a national, across-the-country study of litter. And what we know between our 2015 study and our 2020 study is that the amount of litter on the ground was reduced by almost 50%. That's great news. But the reality is there are still 50 billion pieces of litter on the ground. And that's a lot. In fact, it represents like 152 pieces of litter per American on our grounds and in our waterways. And so, you got to have a solution for that. So we've got the 152 pickup challenge that anyone can do during the month of April, especially around Earth Day, which is pick up 152 pieces of litter. Show us what you got. Take a picture, post it, hashtag, 152 pickup challenge, and join the fun of seeing if we can do even more than before.
I like that. It's like a very specific goal. It's very good.
The other thing to mention is in a world with a changing climate, think about what happens when it rains, right? Where does that water go? It comes off our streets, out of our parks, out of our backyards, out of our front yards, into the waterways. If there's litter in those places, that litter is going in our waterways as well. So as storms increase, and we've all seen this huge intensity of storm increases, it's even more important than ever to really try and keep that litter off the ground and to make improvements to green spaces that can trap litter, that can trap, other debris from going into our waterways.
So you did this last year, correct? It's a yearly thing. What were the results like? What kind of outcome was there from this?
Yeah, so close to, I've got my little notes right here so I don't get these numbers wrong. 30,000 miles of roads and waterways cleaned up, nearly 200,000 plants and trees planted across the country, and 740,000 people who participated in a cleanup in their communities. That's really powerful. And that is people coming out with their neighbors and their kids and their dogs and their running partners or whatever your thing is, and just saying, oh yeah, like I feel like I can pick up 152 pieces of litter. Doesn't all have to be in one day, but I can do that. That's really attainable.
Exactly. And this is something that is really cool, because I think often people, when they think about global climate impacts and just trying to help, it feels so helpless. As a citizen, this is something citizens can actually do to take charge of their future.
But you're exactly right? Like at the big scale, it seems unattainable. But if you break it down, it's pretty manageable, and you don't have to be alone in doing it. It's incredibly social. We have a program called plogging, which is picking up litter while jogging. So it's whoever's your running partner. You go to the park, you strap on your running shoes, take a little string, athletic bag with you, and put your litter in there, put recycling in there, and either take it home or drop it in an appropriate place on your jog. Couldn't be easier.
Oh, that's a really good idea. I'm going to start doing that. All right. So what else do you have? What other fun programs can we participate in?
Something along the lines of storms and responses to natural disasters, right? Because spring starts to lead us into summer and hurricane season and storms and tornadoes. We have a really remarkable program at Keep America Beautiful called Retreat. And Retreat is about recovering trees after natural disasters. And sometimes not immediately after, right? There's the need to deal with the human and economic immediacy of a disaster. But after that, and we've certainly seen this like in Hawaii, right? After that natural disaster is over, people are left disconnected from their community. The things that they took pride in, the big trees, the beautiful landscapes, and many times those things are gone after a disaster. And our retreat program recognizes that and invites the community to come back together with each other and replant trees and care for those trees as a way not only to reestablish that tree canopy that's maybe lost to a tornado or a hurricane or a severe storm, but also to reconnect with community members. We can never decide at Keep America Beautiful. Are we a community pride organization or are we an environmental organization? And I think the reality is we really sit at those crossroads, right? We're in between. And so everything we do is about the environmental impact for sure, but it's also about the people and community impact and how to bring those things together.
Good reminder of the environment and the emotional impact it has on all of us. It's all very tied together. So I want to hear more about Retreat, because this has such a weather connection to it as well. So you're cleaning up after natural disasters. Are there other disasters that require this need for replanting trees?
I think it's a terrific question. We have focused thus far on natural disasters, but I also think there are opportunities for understanding economic disasters or other, man-made activities, historical activities that have maybe reduced the environmental quality of neighborhoods. And I think all of those are eligible for what we understand to be recovery from disaster for retreat programs. There are also things people can also organize on their own, right? Like we lead these programs as examples. We're never going to get to every single community in America, right? So inviting people to be like, oh, remember that replanting those trees is really important. We're starting to develop toolkits that allow all sorts of communities to be able to take that idea and implement it on their own.
Which kind of leads me into this next question, which goes back to that green space and areas that lack in green space. What are the impacts of not having green space and not having a good amount of trees in a community?
Yeah. So, I think the academic nomenclature calls them heat islands. And if you think about it, right, if there isn't tree canopy and everything's just concrete and pavement, it's hot. And when the temperatures are going up, as they have been lately, the implications are hotter neighborhoods. Heat brings health, concerns to older people. It brings impacts to younger people. We know when communities move from more brown spaces and cement to more green spaces and parks and trees. We have a study with the University of Michigan that shows a 12% reduction in assault and gun violence in those communities. So green spaces invite mental health, physical well-being. We know neighborhoods directly around green spaces are a little bit cooler, right? So there's some cooling effect that comes from green spaces, and as well as, the likelihood that kids will spend more time in those parks, more time outdoors, away from devices, and getting physical exercise that's so important for their health and development.
All right, speaking of kids, just wait until you hear from my next guest. His name is Cash Daniels. He's known as the Conservation Kid. He's a teenager in Tennessee, and he has been doing this for more than half his lifetime. Here's my conversation with Cash Daniels. So, Cash, tell me, first of all, how old are you?
I'm 14 years old.
And you've been at this for a while, since you were a pretty small kid. So tell me how you got started and became known as the Conservation Kid.
When I was 7 years old, at that point, I had always loved animals, the ocean, especially sharks. Sharks are my favorite, and they still are. And I went to the beach with my family that year, and I found a plastic straw on the beach. So I went home and I started researching about the amounts of trash in the ocean and rivers. And I found out that the Tennessee River, where I live, is the most polluted with microplastics than any other river tested in the entire world. So that's when I started my cleanups and my project to try and help the environment. And it's just grown from there.
So you're 7 at the time. Tell me about the effort. Did your parents kind of get you started with this?
Yes, my parents were very supportive of the project and helping me along the way, driving me places, buying the supplies that I needed. But yeah, and then with the cleanups, I posted things on Instagram and Facebook about it to try and get people out there to clean up.
How are you involved in the Great American Cleanup?
Well, I put up monofilament recycling bins for fishing line. And I put 160 of those up now in 4 states. I've collected 4,000 miles of fishing line with that so far. And I do aluminum cans. I haul off all those and recycle them because aluminum can be infinitely recycled.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I love photography. I love taking pictures of animals and just filmmaking, because everybody's on the internet nowadays. Everybody's watching those Netflix documentaries. That is what I want to do. That's how you reach people.
Is there anything you'd like to share with any kids listening right now? Any words of wisdom or advice?
You're never too young or too old to make a difference. If somebody says you can't do it, get out there and prove them wrong. And just remember that kids may be a small part of the population, but we are 100% of the future.
I'd like to finish this episode with some words of wisdom and inspiration from Jenny Lawson from Keep America Beautiful.
At the end of the day, Keep America Beautiful is about people. It's people in their communities taking action, even small actions, people caring about each other in the places that they live. And we are so excited when people want to connect with us and with each other to make America beautiful. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Off the Radar is a production of the National Weather Desk. Make sure you're following the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. New episodes publish every Tuesday. If you're doing something amazing and interesting in your community for Earth Day, let me know. Make sure you tag me on social media, Emily Gracie. Search for me on all of those platforms. Now, if you know someone that's interested in weather or climate or just earth sciences in general, please share this episode with them. We'd also love you to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Let us know what you think of the show. You can give me ideas for future episodes. Thank you to Jenny Lawson and Cash Daniels for being on the show today and for the efforts they're making year-round to their communities and nationwide. Also, a shout out to meteorologist Sonia Stevens from ABC News 4 in Charleston, South Carolina, for joining me at the beginning of the episode. I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie. Make it a great day.